So, about a month ago, I had an appointment with a professor, for 1 p.m. So I got there around 12, and I was told the professor is not yet here, but he should be here in the next 1 hour. So I used that 1 hour to talk to some of the doctors who work with the professor, and fortunately, one of the guys there is a good friend of mine from Cameroon, very, very good friend of mine. So he told me what operations the professor has done and what other patients that they have, and we had a good discussion. And then he told me about a very, very good case, very rare case, very, very delicate, dangerous case that the professor had performed, I think that was 3 days earlier. He told me about it. So I asked him, we talked about it. I got to know a lot more about the patient and what the professor did and how the patient came in. Because genuinely, I really wanted to know, because it's part of my job too. So, 1 hour passed, just chatting with the guy, and the professor was in his office at the time. You see, so as I was heading towards the office, I could hear him shouting at somebody. I think something had gone wrong, and he was shouting at somebody. And the guy came out. The guy he was talking to came out, and I was thinking, oh my God, the professor must be in a very bad mood. So if I go in here, I don't know what's going to happen. And I had some papers that I wanted him to sign. So I get into the office, and he's like, what do you want? And I could tell there was a bit of tension in the office. I could see he really didn't want to talk to anybody. So I told him, I have these documents for you to sign, please take a look. So he got the documents. As he was looking at them, I asked him to say, I heard about the case that you did 3 days ago. That's a very delicate case, congratulations. Then he just put the documents down, and he looked at me. He was like, you've heard about the case. Then we got talking, I asked him, how did you do it? It's a very delicate case. How did you manage to avoid damaging this and this structure? And he just sat down, put the documents aside, and started telling me about the case. I did this. I asked him, can you give me some advice as a young neurosurgeon on, if I had such a case in my country, how would I be able to manage it, like you did? Because the patient did pretty well, actually. So I tell him, you need to open like this, you need to watch out for these structures. I think we sat down and talked for about 45 minutes to about an hour, just discussing the case and other cases that he has had. And we even talked slightly about his history in neurosurgery, when he started, and we just had a fun chat. And we could tell all of a sudden the aura in the room just changed. His face became more relaxed, and towards the end of the discussion, he's like, here, the papers, he signed everything for me. And he told me, if you ever need anything, just come to me. Call me anytime, and, you can come and I can help you with whatever you want. I left that office that day feeling very, very happy, because, I used the technique that I read in this How to Influence Friends book by Mr. Carnegie. And it works wonders, really. Just taking a genuine interest in what someone does and allowing them to talk about it, discussing with genuine interest what someone else does really, really makes interactions easier. And this is not a trick, this is not some gimmick to manipulate somebody. It's just taking genuine interest in something that someone else does. It makes a very big difference. So I'll give you another example. In the other hospital where I work, because here in Moscow we get a chance to work in different hospitals. So I work with this very, very good doctor. He's one of my favorite doctors here in Russia. So one time I was operating with him, assisting him in a very, very delicate surgery, and he kept telling me stories about the traditional Russian movies and traditional Russian foods and the culture generally. So he told me about one of his favorite movies. One of the movies in Russian is called Solnce v Pustinie. It's a classic Russian movie. I think almost every Russian knows it. Yeah, so it talked to me about it. It told me the stories, and I was interested. I was like, oh, fine, I should watch this movie, not only because it matters to him, but because it's something that I also found interesting, right? So I was like, okay, I'll find this movie and watch it, just out of interest. So the surgery finished. I went home that day in the evening. I watched the movie. It took me about 1 hour 30 minutes. I watched the movie, and it was a very interesting movie, right? So a couple of days later, we have another surgery, and he keeps on telling me stories and stories. And I told him a joke from the movie that I'd watched, the same movie he had recommended, one of his favorite movies. And all of a sudden, he just stopped what he was doing and looked at me. I was like, "So you watched the movie? So you liked the movie?" You could see his face just, brightening up. You could see his eyes wide open, as if something just changed in the room. You see? And from that moment onwards, we've been best friends. We've been very, very good friends. We talked about the movie. We told jokes in the movies. I mean, the jokes that are part of the movie. The whole environment just changed. We were now joking. He now tells me stories. He even invited me to his house one time for dinner with my wife now. You see? And that is the power. Again, that is the power of genuinely taking an interest in something that someone else finds interesting. Genuinely taking an interest. It really changes the way you interact with people. My wife always asks me, "But Jerry, why is it that when you go to any hospital, everybody wants to work with you? Why is it like that?" I don't know. People call you for surgery. People call you for just check up on you. The doctors call you just check up on you. I mean, how do you manage to create such good relationships? And I told her it's very, very simple. I take interest not only in the work. I just don't go there to say, do we have surgery today? Can I assist you? Can you teach me this? Can you do this? No. You need to take an interest, a real interest in someone's life, and discuss and allow them to talk about some things that they find genuinely interesting. And like that, it makes your interactions very, very smooth. It shows that you actually take an interest. It shows that you are willing to take that extra mile to be genuinely interested in someone else's interests. So try it. Before you go for a meeting, before you meet an appointment, just try to learn something about the person you're meeting, and find something that you have in common or something that they like, and just try to learn a little bit about it, so that you can compliment someone, so that you can, it can be a good starter for a conversation, and that will just change the whole picture. That will be like a common ground, you see, to be something that you have in common with the person you're meeting, and that will make the interactions much, much easier.